Investing in New Jersey real estate is hard. And if you think you need hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get your foot in the door, you're wrong. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get creative, how to think outside the box. What else can you do to enter the New Jersey real estate market as an investor and get yourself started? So today we're going to talk through strategies like house hacking, utilizing some extra space you may have, and other ways to maximize your dollars, maximize your returns, so you can be profitable on your first investment in New Jersey. So first up, we have the house hack. And this, in my opinion, is the best way that you can get started in New Jersey real estate. House hacking is when you purchase a home as your primary residence, maybe a 2-family home, a 3-family home, a 4-family home, and you live in one of the units while you rent out the other units to get that supplemental rental income that goes against your mortgage. This is an extremely powerful tool because, number one, this is a way that you can dip your toe in the water and see, do I want to be a landlord? Do I want to deal with tenants? Do I want to handle these issues as a homeowner, as a property owner? And number two, you can enter this with a lower down payment. Because it's your primary residence, you may be able to get into the home with only 3.5%, maybe 5% down. So if you're looking at a $700,000 duplex, maybe that costs you $140,000 traditionally to get into it. But using a house hack as your primary residence, you may only need $21,000 instead of that $140,000. That reduction in down payment, that reduction of capital you need up front, can really lower the barrier of entry and get you into your first real estate purchase. So next up, let's say you found this perfect house hack. You have a 3-family, a 2-family, a 4-family somewhere in New Jersey. You're able to purchase it. So next up, we're looking at the duplex that you just purchased. And some units may have a bonus space, something in the attic, maybe something in the basement that has like a livable area, maybe a kitchen, maybe a bathroom. You do have to be careful with this sort of thing. We call it a bonus space because it's not a legal unit. You're going to want to consult with your attorneys and learn the ins and outs of that. But if you're using it as a primary residence, you may have a little bit more flexibility. You may be able to live into that bonus unit and rent out the other 2 units to long-term tenants. And that will really increase the amount of rent that you can get on your 2-family home. If you're willing to sacrifice a little bit now in the short term, maybe you have a smaller space, maybe it's not as updated, or you're in, like I said, one of those attics or the lower level spaces. Maybe that's not ideal for you, but remember, this is a short-term thing. You don't have to live there for 20 years. You might be in for a year, 2 years, save up more money, look for the next property, and it's a great sacrifice to really, truly grow generational wealth. So let's take it one step further. How else can we get creative? What other spaces do you have on the property? Do you have a detached garage? Maybe you have a driveway that's 2 cars wide. Maybe you could fit 6 cars total on the driveway. These are all things that you could rent out. In North Jersey, the area is very dense. People are always looking for parking and storage areas. Maybe you can get that supplemental income. You have a detached garage, you can rent that out as a storage space to someone. Or like I mentioned, if you have a 2-car wide driveway, you may be able to rent out parking to other neighbors or people in the area. Everyone's always looking for a parking spot in North Jersey. So you can definitely put a monthly value on that. And that's dollars, again, recurring every single month. The first of the month, boom, you get that paycheck. You get your tenant on the first floor, your tenant on the second floor, the person renting your garage, and you got 3 parking spots that you're renting out as well. Additionally, let's go back to basements. If you have a finished space, you don't have any water intrusion or anything in the basement, and you have a separate entrance perhaps, that could be another area that you rent out to storage for someone. Any way to get that monthly payment up and increase the spread from your revenue every month versus your mortgage and your expenses every month. So personally, my first purchase was a 2-family home, and I did do the house hacking. I was living in one unit and renting out the other one. And, the times are a little bit different. The rates were a little bit different, but I was getting rent that covered about 75% of my mortgage. So how did that supercharge me? Instead of having $3,000, $4,000 a month in my mortgage or my rent, or even more than that, I was paying a small fraction, and every month just taking that extra money and saving it and saving it and saving it, and able to leverage that into the next purchase for your next real estate investment. So next up is another strategy that you can use to really supercharge your investing. And that is using one of your units, one of your other bonus units, as a short-term rental or a midterm rental. For a short-term rental, everybody knows Airbnb. Basically, you have 2-day, 3-day, maybe 1-week stays where a tenant is coming, you have a fully furnished unit, and they're renting it from you, and they're paying, for let's say 3 days, a nightly rate. If you can keep your vacancy high, you can maybe double or triple your rent compared to a long-term rental on a property. For your midterm rental, it's similar to the short-term strategy, except you're extending it for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. The midterm option is a good option because certain towns in New Jersey will not allow you to rent for something less than a week or 30 days. You have to look up the town ordinance. Every town is different, but the midterm is almost like a loophole where you can still furnish your rental. You can still put it on Airbnb. You just tell those guests, you have to book it for 30 days. That's the absolute minimum. And then you're looking at maybe 2 times, maybe 2.5 times still the possible rental that you would get for a long-term rental. Some things that can help this strategy, because you still want to stand out, you want to pop against the other short-term and midterms in the market. So some things that can help, you be pet friendly, you have a washer and dryer, and you have parking. Those are 3 items that really help keep your vacancy low and keep your revenue every month high based on those rents. Another tip, if you're in that space, that is a service industry. You're now in hospitality with your guests. So treat those renters, treat it like a real business. You're not just getting a tenant and then just forgetting it for the year until the lease is ready to renew. This is something where you have to really give them a good experience, take professional photos, furnish the place in a way that looks appealing. You don't want to be the person that's sitting there vacant because your photos are dark, the lights aren't on, your decorations suck. It's not that hard to look at the competition and see, where's that bar that I have to exceed? And then honestly, once you get a few good reviews, a few 5-star reviews, you start to feel a little happy about that. You get a little pumped and you're like, all right, what's next? Where do I go now? Where do I get another unit? So next up, we have a condo strategy. Still looking at the multifamilies, maybe 700,000, 800,000 is a steep way to get into the real estate market. And if you look for condos, you might be able to get in at a lower price. So maybe look for a 2-bed condo and then look for a roommate to potentially rent out one of those bedrooms from you. Now you're looking at possibly 350,000 instead of 800,000, and using your 3.5% down, maybe you're under $15,000 to get your foot in the door, get that first piece, which is the hardest in real estate, and then you can find that tenant. They can help you pay down your mortgage every month and eventually move on to the next piece of real estate and put a long-term tenant or use one of the other strategies like the MTR or the STR in the condo that you're going to keep. Personally, I have a good friend that did this. He purchased a 2-bed condo about 10 years ago in Hudson County, and 10 years later, with some other successful real estate investments, he's financially free and he's living in Puerto Rico, having the time of his life. Another strategy that we can look at, especially if money is a concern for you and your down payment, is finding a partner and going in on something, finding some negotiation, maybe a 50-50 split where you find the deal and your equity partner comes in and brings in the money. Everything in life is going to cost either time or money. Some people have time and they want to go door knocking, they want to go cold calling, they want to write letters and send mailers and try to reach out and find good deals and good properties. Other people have no time, but they have money, where if the proper deal comes to them, they're willing to pay more and get maybe a slightly less return than if they were to find the deal for themselves. That's where you can have a successful partnership. Definitely what you want to do is vet your partner, ask them about their long-term goals. What is your plan for the future? Why do you want to buy this? Make sure you're aligned, because a partnership is really a marriage. So there are definitely ways that could go south. But I do think it's a viable option worth exploring if, like I said, specifically if you're concerned about money, concerned about your down payment. Now you might be thinking, where do I find this partner? How do I find the money? What I would say is find the deal. That's the most important thing. Once you have the deal, you can always find the money. Go to your local meetups. Go to Elevate, our meetup in Jersey City. It's a free meetup every month. Bring the deal. There's always people there that are looking to buy, they're looking to partner up, and they're looking to help each other grow. So it could be a good fit. You may have something that could work. The last thing to note is, with real estate investing, you want to go in with a real long-term mindset. Like, what is the life that you're building and the life that you want in 10 years or 20 years? In a lot of ways, real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes time for appreciation and for your equity pay down and your loan pay down. I do believe that it's an incredibly powerful tool to grow your generational wealth, but definitely have reasonable expectations and know that, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm committed. I'm dedicated. I'm going to succeed as a real estate investor. And then in the end, you will. So if you're thinking about investing in real estate, specifically in New Jersey, reach out, ask questions. I'm here to help. Come to the Elevate event in Jersey City, where we have a great group of people that are all there to help and grow. Okay, so in this video, we've talked about house hacking. We've talked about bonus units in maybe the attic, maybe the basement. We've talked about renting additional spaces. Maybe you have a garage, maybe you have a driveway. Any way you can get creative. You can even do the short-term rental. You can do the midterm rental strategy to kind of increase your rents, or purchase a condo and rent out one of the bedrooms if you want a lower price point to get into the market. And lastly was partnerships. So if you want to get started investing in real estate in New Jersey, definitely reach out if you have questions. I want to help you out. I want to help you grow. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment any tips that you may have to squeeze some extra pennies out of your investment. Once again, I'm Jordan Zuber, your local New Jersey real estate expert.